that and more as we get up with you starting right now. Here we go. Get Up, presented by Oral-B.I.O. Electric Toothbrush. Look at the squad we put together. Bus and boys are here as usual. And while you were sleeping, Adam Schefter wasn't. Major breaking news during the night. Schefty, take it away.
Greeny, the New York Giants are about to hire John Harbaugh as their next head coach. The deal is not official. They're still going over some of the details, but it is going to get done, and John Harbaugh is going to be the next head coach of the New York Giants. They're looking to restore leadership. They're looking to restore order. They want an adult in the room here. They want to have this where John Harbaugh is going to be coaching as long in New York, hopefully in their minds, as he coached in Baltimore, where he served 18 years. They wasted no time. They've been recruiting him from the moment he was let go in Baltimore. He spent yesterday in the Giants training facility, meeting with owners, talking with Jackson Dart. He flew back to Baltimore last night. They're still going over the final details of the contract. Not going to be an issue. He was supposed to meet with Tennessee today. That's not happening. That meeting's off. Sorry, Tennessee guys. He's going to be the next head coach of the New York Giants.
Outstanding work again, Schefty, in the middle of the night while everyone else is asleep. He's got the enormous breaking news. Feels like a home run, a grand slam. Feels like one that sort of went out onto the street over the walls of the ballpark. What do you think?
This is the best day the Giants have had since they won the Super Bowl.
Yes.
I mean, this finally, the losing culture, the stench of it is completely gone. And Schefty talked about it. You now have a coach that has a very real vision. You have a coach that brings stability and consistency and leadership and connectivity. And we can stop let's figure out how to make the leak go away thought process in the Giants and cross your fingers. Now you have a guy that's been there and done it. Harbaugh, one of the blue bloods of the NFL when it comes to organization, now tying themselves to one of the blue bloods of the NFL when it comes to last name, the Harbaugh last name. And so this is, for the Giants organization and for their fans, this is the best day. This is their biggest win since their last Super Bowl.
Let me give you a bit of an idea for those across the country. Can we put up A19, please? So Tom Coughlin, you mentioned it. He was there 12 years. They won 2 Super Bowls. And since then, it has been Ben McAdoo, Pat Shurmur, Joe Judge, Brian Daboll. That doesn't include all the interim coaches that were involved in the midst of all of this. So not only do you look at, obviously, the terrible one-loss records, but just consider how many different people have coached this team since 2016. Have they finally gotten it right? Harbaugh plus the New York Giants now, in your mind, Hawk, equals what?
That equals contention, that equals stability, that equals a franchise and a leader that can put you on a path to a Super Bowl and back to hoisting Lombardi for all the reasons Dan talked about. Because what Harbaugh brings to the Giants is what they desperately need. You talk about Coughlin, you talk about the CEO type. More importantly, you talk about a culture. They don't have a culture that they could cling to or have been able to cling to since Coughlin left, and that's what Harbaugh is. That's what he represents. And so for him not to go down the list of all the places he was going to have an opportunity to coach, it means that he also felt that the franchise was a perfect match for what he does. He doesn't have to be a coach outside of himself. He doesn't have to evolve and be something different than what he has been. Be the staple, be the CEO, bring a culture to the New York Giants that is conducive for winning football.
Okay, so you got Harbaugh, which brings culture stability. You got the Creatine Caucasians with Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterby. You got Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson. You got Burns and Carter on the other side defensively. You got a lot of young pieces around to work with, but also like who are the guys he's bringing?
That's the question.
Yeah, that is
who's going to be the quarterback guy? Who's going to be the play caller? Because
the main guy, the hope, he had told them in meetings that Todd Monken would be his offense coordinator. But Todd Monken is interviewing for the Cleveland Browns head coaching job. He interviewed for the Buccaneers offensive coordinator job yesterday. Again, short of him getting the Browns head coaching job, I would think that he would turn down all other offensive coordinator opportunities and rejoin his friends.
That's a good thing.
In New Jersey.
That's a good thing.
That would be the likely outcome. It's not done, but that's John Harbaugh's plan, and we'll see if he could bring it into action.
Here's what I think about Harbaugh. And the coordinators are obviously paramount for any coach and coaching staff. But for Harbaugh, I don't feel like he'll ever have a problem attracting a top offensive coordinator. And that's what you get when you have a CEO type. You just understand that the executives, they might be in and out because there's going to be success and they're going to go on to get head coaching opportunities. We saw it in Baltimore, or, they're going to be, hey, we need to switch up the defense. We need to switch up the offense. But for him, he is not a play caller himself. And so if I'm a coordinator who has aspirations to be a head coach, I'm going to go to Harbaugh, not just because of who he is in the culture, but because I know I'm truly going to run the offense or truly run the defense.
Taylor, it seems to me, and I agree with what Will said, they have some good young pieces on defense. They've got Malik Neighbors, who looks like he is, when he's healthy, is going to be a blossoming star. But if I'm a coach with all the options in the world, I'm picking my spot based on the quarterback. Yeah. This feels to me like John Harbaugh saying Jackson Dart is the guy. Look at all the big turnarounds this year, right? One of them was Caleb Williams. One of them is Trevor Lawrence. One of them is Drake May. Yep. This feels to me like John Harbaugh is pointing at Jackson Dart and saying, he and I can be that next year.
Yeah, I mean, Will alluded to it with all the bones that the Giants have, all of, on the offensive side and the defensive side. But when you look at Jackson Dart, he's not quite Lamar Jackson from a mobility standpoint, but they're still going to use him quite a bit in quarterback-style runs and calling runs for the quarterback multiple times a game. He does a great job managing pieces. OCs and DCs are going to want to come and be a part of it because they've seen what he was able to accomplish at the Ravens. So this is an absolute home run in my opinion. And also, if you look at, like, just in the breakup sense, right? You're in a big relationship for a long time. You break up. You can do two things. You can wallow on the couch, eat a Haagen-Dazs ice cream, or you can get in the gym a little bit, make yourself look real nice. This team has the bones to put you in contention to where the Ravens can look over there next year and be like, damn, that's the one that got away.
A few things. I think in this particular case, Chris Mara of the Giants deserves a lot of credit. He went to John Harbaugh's house on Sunday and met with him individually. The Giants put a lot of pressure on him. Jackson Dart absolutely loomed large in this because I think when John Harbaugh steps back and assesses the quarterback situations, and there's nothing more important than that, he believed in Jackson Dart. You look at, in his spot, the quarterback, and you look at ownership. And John Mara, everybody in New York is rooting for John Mara to be okay. But John Mara has been sick. And so his brother, Chris Mara, was out there leading the way here and played a huge role in bringing John Harbaugh to New York and him turning down these other opportunities. And the hope now is that he does for Jackson Dart what Mike Vrabel did for Drake May, what Ben Johnson did for Caleb Williams, really what Sean Payton has done for Bo Nix, even though he drafted him into the league. You're looking for that coach to assert and have that quarterback rise up and improve even more than he's played.
I fully expect the Giants to contend for a playoff spot next year now.
Keep talking.
Because this is a team last year, we talked about it multiple times this year. They gave away double-digit leads on a consistent basis. I thought there was a perspective on the outside of this is a better football team, at least from the individual performances, than the record was indicating. And I think with Neighbors coming back, he's got to get healthy. This is a team that there's no question as far as somebody there that just gets them, the adult in the room, to play a football level that, and I know it gets made fun of, like, you're not giving games away. We don't want to give games away. And I know Harbaugh had some of those moments in Baltimore where they would blow leads as well. But I do think that he's walking into a place that is more talented than maybe the national perspective. Yeah. I think the Monken hire is huge. I really do.
Assuming they get him.
Because we can't say, well, he's got to be Ben Johnson to Caleb and Mike Vrabel to Drake. Mike Vrabel's got one of the best offensive coordinators in the last 30 years in the NFL going with him to New England. And so I think that's huge. But this is a team that there's no question. There's no question with another good couple pieces, they could be a playoff football team next year.
And look, let me say this. We see the 7-27 record over the last 2 years. They've been one of the worst teams in football. I will say, if you think back to this past season, when Jackson Dart got inserted and Cam Scatterbo emerged before Malik Neighbors got hurt, you were looking at the Giants as one of the more exciting teams in the National Football League at that point in time. And I think John Harbaugh, that's what he sees. And with Chris Mara helping to recruit him, they are getting the deal done to make him the next head coach.
So John Harbaugh is going to try now and do something that has quite literally never been done. Can we put up A20, please, Cindy? While John Harbaugh is the most accomplished coach available in the Super Bowl era, there have been a total of exactly 0 head coaches who have won 2 Super Bowls with 2 different franchises. 7 have led multiple teams to the Super Bowl, but none of them have won it. I will be honest. When they first gave me this stat, I assumed it had to be a mistake. I thought there's no way in the world that's true, and yet it is. There is no coach in the Super Bowl era that has won the Super Bowl in 2 different places.
Except it could happen this offseason. Sean Payton.
Sean Payton could become the first.
Become the first one.
That is correct.
It doesn't mean he will. Like, there's a lot of great teams left, but they're one of 8 teams left. And there's never been a head coach who's won a Super Bowl with 2 franchises. Sean Payton has a chance to become the first. John Harbaugh will have a chance to become the first in New York if he can get the Giants back to the level that he thinks he can. And that's what they're hoping for.
Yeah, but we're having the conversation within 2 hours of the hiring,
right,
or 6 hours of the hiring. That brings the reality of how big of a deal this is. If they had hired somebody else, more than likely we would have been like, do we think it's a good fit? How does it work? What should be the expectation? Now the Giants are like, could he go win a Super Bowl with the Giants? It brings the gravity of how important of a day, how important of a signing this is for New York.
No question about it. And so that what remains now, I think a lot of us had been thinking, and again, Schefter, I keep turning to you because you're the one. I think we thought the perception was everyone's waiting on the John Harbaugh shoe to drop.
Yeah.
And now everything else will happen. It'll sort of like be the thing that sets off the other dominoes.
Look, Tennessee was interested in John Harbaugh. Atlanta was interested in John Harbaugh. Cleveland was interested in John Harbaugh. These other teams were not making a move or a hire without speaking to John Harbaugh. The other thing that you have to keep in mind is that coaches under contract with teams. So we're talking about Jesse Minter and Brian Flores and all the all the coordinators that are out there. They can't have face-to-face meetings until Monday, January 19th. So that's Monday. So now we've got the big domino off the board. We've got the face-to-face meetings coming up on Monday. And now the coaching carousel, which had been a little quiet other than all the moves that are going on, can really pick up steam in terms of the hiring pace that has been going on across the NFL.
Okay, so that's where we stand as we wake up this morning. Once again, I said, Adam Schefter does all this work, so you don't have to. We all get to sleep, and he comes in with all of the news. So we'll leave that there. We'll take a quick break.